very much. Hello, folks, and welcome once again to Movie Memories. Well, I was thinking this week about going to the pictures in the 1950s and the 1960s. You remember when cinemas were closing down by the hundreds? Very sad, really, wasn't it? And I remember ringing my local cinema and saying to the manager, "What time does the programme start?" He said, "What time can you get here?" Well, we've had a lot of letters about those days. Now, Harry Molyneux of School Hill, Bolton, remembers the time he stood up to leave his local cinema and he realised he was the only one in the audience. I had the same experience at a Bob Monkhouse, Harry. I know exactly what you mean. Well, Mr. L. Woods of Baines Avenue, Blackpool, mourns the closing of dozens of cinemas in his town. He ran his own Saturday afternoon picture show for children for several years until rising costs forced him to close down. But there was no shortage of customers back in the 30s, when two of the most popular stars were Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And did you know that just one of their routines could take up to 9 weeks daily rehearsal to perfect? And weren't they perfect? Well, this clip is for you, Mr. Woods, and for Mrs. E. Colville of Oban Street, Poplar, and C. Prynne of Talbot Street, Cardiff. Fred and Ginger in The Gay Divorcee. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. All that for ninepence, eh? But Lewis Brown of Saffron Walden in Essex, he went to the pictures even cheaper. He used to get him free at his local cinema if he turned up with a rabbit skin and a jam jar. Now, he writes, there was a rag and bone merchants opposite the cinema, and I think they were behind the special offer. Well, there you are. Alan Steele of Inglewood Place in Seacroft in Leeds asks, whatever happened to Laird Crager, well known for his portrayals of heavyweight villains in the 40s? Well, his career was tragically brief. He died of a heart attack on December the 9th, 1944, at the age of 31. But what an impact he made, didn't he, in those 16 films he appeared in. Now, how's this for a dedicated film fan? Jerry Wall writes to tell us he went to the pictures 3 times a week for 30 years, from 1930. And he sent his eyeballs in for a retread. He must have seen King Kong a few times, eh? Well, didn't we all see King Kong a lot of times? But how about that lesser-known gorilla who lived in King Kong's shadow for years? We thought it was time we had the spotlight turned on him. You remember him? Mighty Joe Young.
Young picks it up. It means free champagne. Ready?
very rare piece of film of Sir Keith Joseph addressing a TUC conference there. Now, so many of you was right in about the fun you had in the old Saturday morning pictures. And Mavis Barrick of Kirkfield Road, Withensea, even remembers the words to a Saturday morning club song. And indeed, Mavis is here with us today. So have a nice welcome for Mavis, shall we? Yeah. Mavis, I remember the old Saturday morning picture club very well. Where did you actually go to, your Saturday morning pictures?
We went to the Regis in Hull.
The?
Regis.
The Regis Cinema in Hull. That's
Yes.
a name I've never heard of before, the Regis Cinema.
Yes,
What did you used to enjoy about the old Saturday morning pictures?
Well, there was the cartoons, the serial, probably a cowboy film. But really, there was a gang of us and we all went to see the boys.
Really? You never looked at the pictures at all? Well, I think you've cracked it tonight, definitely. Look who you found in the front row. So I remember, I suppose with all that gang of you actually appeared, that must have been chaos in the cinema on a Saturday mornings, wasn't it?
Well, not really, because there was a monitor for every 3 rows, and he or she was responsible for, you know, behaviour, and afterwards to pick up any bits and tip your seats up, so it made it easier for the women to sweep out.
Really? Well, you're the monitor for this row, is that right? Now, the song, I remember the song myself, because I was an ABC minor. Oh. The song was an old march, wasn't it? Blaze Away.
Yes,
well, I'll tell you, let's see how many people here and how many people at home can remember it. You remember the words?
Oh, yes, I remember the words.
All right, mate, so I'll give you the intro, right? Bum, da-dum, dum, da-dum, da-dum.
We are the boys and girls well known as miners of the ABC. And every Saturday all line up to see the films we like and shout aloud with glee. We love to laugh and have our sing-song. Just a happy crowd are we. We're all pals together. We're miners of the ABC.
How about that? Thank you. Thanks very much indeed, Mavis. That was lovely. One of the miners who doesn't want a 38% rise. There we are. Now, Kenneth Lambert also wrote in about the ABC Miners Club, and indeed he sent us the words of the song that Mavis sang for us. And he asked why we never see the Three Stooges on television. Well, in fact, Kenneth, Granada Television have been showing short clips from the Stooges comedies on their Fun Factory children's show. And they've been so popular, it's possible that the full versions will be shown in the future. I hope so. I used to like them. Now, Lillian Dean's memories of Saturday matinees go way back to 1918, when shows were free in her town after the war, and so many children attended, they had to sit 2 to a seat. You'd have enjoyed that, Mavis, wouldn't you? Looking for the boys, it would be fun. But another popular Saturday children's club in the 1950s was the Roy Rogers Riders Club. Now, Alan Smith of Portsmouth is one of Roy's greatest fans, and he has a huge collection of stills, press books, comics, and cuttings. And this is how the Roy Rogers Riders meetings always started.
At the final call, I do not care how many flowers they send. Above all else, the happiest trail would be for you to say to me, "That's right, my friend. Amen." You know, boys and girls, the real purpose of the Riders Club is for all of us to get together and become better acquainted. Help each other. Especially help prevent any and all kinds of accidents. Do that for me, will you? You know, the best Roy Rogers riders are the ones who live up to the rules on the back of your membership card. Well, sir, right now, Trigger and I have got a few things to take care of in Hollywood, so we're going to turn this meeting over to the ranch foreman of our club, the manager of this theater. I'll be looking for you at our meeting next week, so be sure to be here. And until then, from Trigger and me, goodbye, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. See you next week.
There you go, Roy Rogers. And I must apologise for that one to Mrs. Schofield of Pickmore Avenue, Blackpool, because she writes to us, the local flea pit near our home once featured 6 films in a week, all starring Roy Rogers. Charming he may have been, but 2 cowboy films in one programme 3 times a week put me off cowboys for life. I know exactly what you mean, Mrs. Schofield. I feel exactly the same about Crossroads, but there we are. Now, John Pye writes to us and says, during the 40s, there was a scene stealer in lots of American movies. A drunk, always in evening dress, usually at a reception or dance. He had a moustache and always had difficulty with a cigarette. Who was he? Well, our film historian, John Brooker, thinks you're almost certainly referring to Jack Norton. He was a classic. And here he is in all his drunken glory.
Ain't that pretty?
Yeah, look, a wiggler.
Let's see how far we can swim.
I'll put this baby clear across the river.
Hey, I got something.
What is this?
Looks like a squirt to me.
Uh-oh. Where do you suppose it come from?
Search me, but we better find out and put it back.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Jack Norton, what a classic. He gave a pint of blood once and it had a head on it. There you are. We'll be back in just a moment with the great Northern variety comedian Norman Evans and a lady who's going to tell us all about the Seven Veils. Stick around. Well, welcome back. Now, many viewers like me remember the great Northern variety comedians, the highly underrated but brilliant Frank Randall, George Formby and his ukulele, son of a very famous father, and that marvellous female impersonation, Old Mother Riley. Well, none of them did quite as well down south, but the fantastic Norman Evans did reach a wider audience with his own TV series just before his death in 1962. Now, most of you remember Norman Evans' Over the Garden Wall sketch, where he kept pushing up his whatsits. Do you remember that? Well, Les Dawson still does it on television now, and he hasn't got the whatsits for it, but there we are. But how about Norman Evans' routine with a panda?
Oh, did that go up your nose? Oh, I'm sorry. What are you going to do now? What? Sneeze? What again? Delicious me. Where do all these sneezes come from? Down there. Oh, you want me to count 3. I see. And then what? Yeah, get it out of your system. All right. Here we go then. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, he'll have me doing this all evening. Only once. For the very last time. Promise. All right. I'll diddle him this time. I'll give him a right corker. I'll give him a right one. Here we go. Oh, no. I'm not having that. Well, you've done very well, Teddy. I think you better wave these ladies and gentlemen good night. Oh, no. Oh, I think he's a little bit tired and shy tonight. All right, you've done very well. That's enough waiting. Come on, put your hand in. Come on, put your hand in. That's right. Is it in? It's in. Well, that's almost for that one.
Lovely, wasn't it? Now you know how Sooty started. There we are. Well, that was especially for me, for Mary Cook of Langley Crescent, Bramley in Leeds, and Hilda Gledhill of Berkisland, Halifax. Now, Hilda says she first saw films in a converted boat shed. The boat was removed at showtime and planks were put down for the seats, eh? Not a dry seat in the house, I should think. Now, Mrs. I. Cooper of Northampton writes to us, and she says, in 1946, I went to see a singing cowboy film, and the star was Eddie Dean. Now, nobody else seems to remember him, but he had a beautiful voice. You can keep your Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. Whatever happened to Eddie? Well, Mrs. Cooper, he's still alive and he's still singing. He's in his 70th year now, and he often appears at film conventions in America. Well, for you, Mrs. Cooper, here's a reminder of how Eddie Dean sounded back in the 40s.
Tell me once again about the song.
I should take the time to write it when your temper might ignite it. No, I reckon I'll be moseying along. Fare thee well.
Goodbye.
You're the apple of my eye, but I must be on the way. Fare thee well.
Goodbye.
Oh, my darling, don't you cry. I'll come back to you someday.
When you do return, I'll be the one to meet you. for you're still the man I go for, mighty strong.
Oh, I never should have tarried. You're still set on getting married, so I reckon I'll be moseying along.
There you go, and I never saw the horse's lips move. Good, that, wasn't it? Now, one of the most memorable scenes I ever saw was in a film about a girl concert pianist and her Svengali. Now, I had nightmares about one scene in that film for weeks afterwards. The Svengali was played by James Mason. Do you remember the scene where he smashed the girl's hands over the keyboard? Well, here's a scene from that film. Well, of course, the scene from a classic film, The Seventh Veil. And I'm delighted to tell you we have with us this afternoon the star of that film. Will you welcome, please, Miss Anne Todd. Sit down. Well, and it's marvellous to see that. That was a film that's always stayed in my mind, you know. Yeah. And I always thought it was so wonderful that the girl I was in love with, which I always was in love with you know, was the actually could play the piano like that. I thought, well, this is the ultimate.
Did you? Roy, you know I didn't play the piano. Eileen Joyce played the piano.
Eileen Joyce?
Yeah.
Well, but pretty good.
But I did go to the Royal College of Music for just under 3 months and learnt the concertos. The brilliant young man taught me, you know, how to do it. And actually, what was really, I might amuse you, that I was going over to New York, and they sent a cable to the ship I was going over saying, would I play at the Carnegie Hall, the concertos? And I thought if I'd had the cheek, which perhaps I would now, I'd have played and then got up just for the end, you know, while they went on off stage. But did you know that, because it might interest people to know this, that when I was playing the child, they built all the sets a bit bigger.
Is that right? Well, you must have, I was going
to make me look a bit smaller.
You must have been very young then, because you played a 14-year-old girl in that film.
Well, I had 2 children of my own when I played the 14.
You see, maybe that's what you get from sitting in the back row of the pictures. Brilliant. Yeah. And they made the furniture bigger to make you look a 14-year-old.
Yes, the chair was bigger. And in fact, Jimmy Mason had to sit up really rather straight because, you see, he was in a bigger chair than he should have had. And it was down to make me look a bit smaller. But we had a...
Sorry, and it was the film, really, that made you an international star, wasn't it, that particular one?
Overnight.
That's right.
And I never felt I really acted. I sort of wandered through it, I felt, in that film.
I always remember the other classic film that, you know, was very memorable to me was The Sound Barrier.
Yeah, I must just tell you a funny little story about The Sound Barrier. David Lean directed it.
That's right.
And he wanted to do one shot, sort of cinema verite, so it was the sort of the truth. And we were coming, I was standing in a queue with a lot of women. It was the time when I went into the cinema in the Sound Barrier and heard that my husband had been killed. And I was very pregnant. I was about to give birth, about 9 months. And I wore a cage, you see, so that I was out like this. And I stood in this queue with a scarf around my head and a shopping bag. I mean, nobody knew me, and we just came along in the queue. Well, they had the cameras in the street covered where the workmen were working, you know, those things they
Put
were.
them inside a workman's
Yes,
hut.
that's right, yes.
Yes.
And so it was all rather rehearsed, and the lights were very strong. But of course, the people in the queue just thought it was the cinema lit up. And got up to the front, you see, and we went up. Now, it was an actress giving out the tickets, of course. And the woman in front of me took so long trying to find the money. So at last, they gave me a sign from the street far away, jump ahead, you know. So I jumped ahead of her to get my ticket, when she suddenly went, wait your turn. Would you hurry like that? Wait your turn. And then went, oh, you see, went like that. And I said, oh, it's quite all right. Put my hands across myself like this. She took me into the cinema and said how terribly sorry she was and how upset she was, and I just hope if she ever sees or has seen that film that you'll get a laugh. But I was saying it's quite all right. Don't worry, I know. Just recovering, is it? It was so real, it became too real.
And after you did all your big sort of successful films, you went back to the theatre again, where you started, of course.
Yes, I think I've sort of, I call it changing gear, but I changed gear about 3 or 4 times in my life. Because I started as an actress, and then I went to Hollywood and did all that. And then I went to the Old Vic and did Shakespeare, which was wonderful. And then I started producing my own diary
This
documentary.
does interest me very much, Anne, that you actually was turned from being an actress in front of the cameras, you went to actually make your own films.
Yes.
Now, I must be honest with you, I've never seen one of these films. Now, what are they about? What are they all about?
Well, I've written them, and I'm in them, and it's just my traveling to rather exciting places. I mean, like Nepal and Greece and Egypt and been everywhere, and sleeping in the desert and, you know, wonderful. I think the films themselves have a, I don't like that word message, but the sort of line running through them is things we're losing at the moment in life. I mean, when we went to Australia, we're losing space, and they've got space. And so on. The rest of the films all had some sort of a link that went through them.
And you've developed into another entirely different side to your career now, which is with your lovely book.
It.
Indeed, I have. Yeah. Antod, the Eighth Veil. It's a lovely title. And how do you like being an author, then?
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
I think it's very exciting. I'd rather be an author than an actress, I think.
Would you really?
Yes, it's very exciting. Because it's a different, you know, even when I look at it like that, I sort of feel it doesn't belong to me. I feel awfully detached. It's like having had a baby and it's sort of gone, you know. It's quite extraordinary. It's so...
And you've had a most amazing career, really. I mean, it's sort of covered so many different
I've been lucky,
things.
haven't I? Very lucky.
I think you're very talented. You've been
No, I've been lucky in a wonderful life, and so it's very exciting. Because, well, now we've got the books. Very exciting. But I say I believe in destiny rather strongly.
You do?
Very.
Can you
Do you know
explain
that
that?
little poem? Damn, at last I've found out what I am. I'm a creature that moves in predestined grooves, not a car or a bus, but a tram.
And you believe very strongly in that,
I
don't you?
do, yes, a bit, yes.
And thank you very much for coming and talking to us. It's been absolutely fascinating.
Thank you
We've
for
got to go on
asking me,
for
Roy.
simply ages.
Yes, so good.
Thanks very much, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, folks. See you next time. Bye for now.